Joker has been released to the public. Well, it's been released for almost a week now. But I wanted to talk about the movie in full detail. Spoilers abound. You have been warned. Let's get into this movie. So if you watched my spoiler-free review, you know this is one of my favorite films of the year so far. I loved every single minute of this movie. Riveting from the first scene to the final scene. It's honestly fascinating how brilliant and how well made this film was, because it had so much going against it. Mine is just the controversy. Just like the script and everything was so much in development. No one really wanted to do it, but I'm glad it's been made. I'm glad we get to have an opportunity to talk about it. And in a way, I'm glad that there is a controversy, because at least there's more talk. But what the controversy is about, well, let's get to that in maybe later on in this. But I want to talk about some things in the film that I liked and some things I didn't really like. But let's start with it. Probably the biggest spoiler of this entire film is the thought that Arthur Fleck is the son of Thomas Wayne, or supposedly. The film doesn't really give you the answer, and I love that. It gives you kind of a mystery on whether or not his mother is truly insane or really is the real mother with a real affair, and she's not a stalker. I like to say the former more because of what happened to her in the film, where Joaquin Phoenix finds out about both truths in a way, that she's been stalking Thomas Wayne for years and had this alleged affair with him that caused him, but then he gets to talk to Thomas Wayne in the theater, and we find out he might just be adopted. And then we officially find that out in the psychiatric ward, and I really didn't expect him to kill his mother in that way, in the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest way. That scene was kind of hard to watch, but what kept me on this entire scene, and in fact this entire movie, like I said, is Joaquin Phoenix. He commits himself to so much stuff in this movie that it's unfathomable that people are thinking this movie would tank if Joaquin Phoenix failed. He's a talented actor for a reason, and I think this is his best work in years. One of the things I really didn't know how to feel at first, and then as the movie went on, I went with it, and then they threw a curveball at us, was with Zazie Beetz. I would say Zazie Beetz and the relationship they formed was probably the weakest point, and that would have been my biggest complaint about the film if a choice wasn't made later on. At first, it seemed like a forced relationship. It felt way too rushed, and I was kind of pissed when, after his first murders on the subway, he goes straight after Zazie Beetz, and apparently they have sex. It didn't make sense. And seeing her throughout the entire film with him, seeing the clown poster saying, oh, people that think he's a villain, fuck him. I think he's a hero. And then the scene where he's with his mother after the stroke, and she's there. At first I was like, oh, that's nice, she's there, but doesn't really make sense. Then it's shown to us in truth what really was going on. After Joker, or Arthur, comes back home in the rain and enters into what we thought was his apartment, but then we find out it's Zazie Beetz' apartment, and she's like, you're Arthur, right? You're the guy from across the hall. And it's like, oh shit, they pulled Fight Club on us. That is brilliant. And it made more sense, honestly. Every scene that she's in, she's immediately out of. And that makes more sense than when I think would have been my most complacent thing about this movie, being that relationship. And I thought that was a stroke of genius. I don't know how I feel about the montage of seeing all those little moments there, because I feel like that would have been a little bit too much. It's like the Blade Runner 2049 effect where they didn't need to show us everything to let us get the point. But it was something, and apparently after that, I didn't catch this, but upon thinking about the film again, he probably killed her. Yeah, and I remember sirens. I thought that was just sirens passing by, but it might have just been he killed Sophie. But that's something to think about. Another big thing that could have been a big spoiler is still with more Waynes, but at the end of the film, we see the actual Wayne murders, and I didn't expect that to happen in that way, honestly. I thought they were going to tie it in more with Joaquin Phoenix, Arthur Fleck killing the Waynes, but it was just some random guy that he influenced, which we'll talk about what influenced him to do that, but I really like that, and it plays more into the future for what the Joker and what his arch rival, who we all know, could be, and it was fucking amazing. Now let's talk about specific moments that I truly loved about this movie. Some moments that really got me so fucking happy. I think the first moment that most people will take away from this is the subway scene, where he's uncontrollably laughing, which I forgot to talk about the laugh in general. I thought this is probably my favorite laugh of any Joker, next to Mark Hamill. I think Hamill will always have the best laugh, but for Phoenix to become close, that's saying a lot. You see pain when he does it. You see him choke up when he starts to laugh. It's physically draining to him when he does. And this medical condition, and once the funding goes out for his prescriptions, you know it's not going to help anymore. And I thought the laugh was fucking amazing, and Joaquin Phoenix dedicated himself so much to that. Back to the subway scene, when he has his first murders, it's kind of a jump scare moment, but not really. Todd Phillips does a great job with doing jump scary things with guns and with blood and violence. This, again, not condoning violence. It's not saying go out and do these things, but I think it's well done enough to get an effective reaction. And the subway scene, when the first two guys, he's doing self-defense, but when he gets the third guy, you could tell he's enjoying himself. And then we move on to the whole dancing bit in the bathroom, and I thought that was beautiful, mainly just because of the score. I can't sing the praises of the score enough. This is my favorite score of them all. But I think it's either a violin or cello, like going across the strings so loudly and getting that very visceral and aggressive tone in the score for that scene. It was great. Apparently Joaquin Phoenix improvised a lot of that scene when he just heard the music, and it's just him and Todd Phillips in that bathroom, and he just went with it, and I think that's really well done on Phoenix's part. Also, one of the moments that really got to me was the stand-up scene when he finally gets up onto the, I think it was Bogo's comedy club stage. I need to rewatch it again to get that full name. But when he gets up there and he can't even get his first joke out and he's just laughing uncontrollably, you don't know if you should be uncomfortable or you should be laughing. And I like that too. And it's one of those moments that really encapsulate what this movie is trying to prove. And I think that scene was brilliant. I almost teared up, honestly, because Joaquin Phoenix, like I said, I still can't praise him enough. I'm sorry, but he dedicates to that scene and to every other scene in this movie, and it was fucking amazing. But let's talk about some of the scenes that I think, in my opinion, are the best of the film. Most of it is, of course, when he dons the Joker makeup. When he kills his friend that gave him the gun, that with the scissors, and only just the white makeup and the green hair nonetheless. And that was kind of creepy to see him just in that, and not with the smile or the brows or the nose, the eyes, nothing, just the pale white face and the green hair killing his friend with the scissors through the throat and then the eye, and then bashing his brains in on that wall. But I think this is probably one of my favorite moments in any film that involves the Joker, when he kills the guy. He's sitting sitting on the wall, laying against the wall, whatever. But he sees the little guy that's treated him so well throughout the film, and he's fucking afraid for his life. He was there at the wrong place at the wrong time, and Joker says, "You've been so good to me. You're one of the only people that's been so good to me. You can go." And he locks the door, and the little guy can't reach it, and it builds so much suspense. It's hilarious, but at the same time, you're on the edge of your seat because you don't know if he's actually going to let go or you're actually going to kill him. He lets him go, but the suspense was there and had me on the edge of my seat. And like some scenes that are more subtle than others, I think are some of the best scenes in the film. But then I think my favorite moments in the film are the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I think they're filmmaking perfection and some of the best scenes I've seen all year. In fact, I'll go as far as to say they're the ones that got me the most. From when he dons his makeup to the scene on top of that police car, I couldn't stop smiling because it was just so damn good, so effective, and really got me feeling something that I haven't for a while now. Probably the biggest spoiler of that in-between moment is when he's going on to the Marie show, whatever. He's finally fulfilling his dream, but he's a different person now. And let me just backtrack to one moment that I also really loved, and is when he's reenacting or trying to emulate what it's like to enter onto the Marie show with the drapes all over. He walks out, he pretends kissing the doctor, and then introducing himself to Marie, but then he's trying to tell a joke, knock knock, then he mimes a gun to his throat and mimes shooting himself. And you hear the audience laugh. And I thought that was truly effective. And he's just smiling. And that's when you think, oh, he's going to really do that. But then he goes onto the Murray show, and he doesn't do it. He has the gun, but he doesn't use it on himself. And like, he's telling the joke, and he's like, what do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner that has been with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? And then this is the line that got me. I'll tell you what you get. You get what you fucking deserve. And he shoots Marie point blank in the face. That's what got me. Mainly just because of the shot structure. You don't think they're gonna shoot. He's not gonna shoot him in that realistically. You think it's just going to be a little bit close up, maybe a point of view perspective. But that wide shot of him pulling out the gun and shooting Marie in the face, because it's Robert De Niro, it's effective already, but because of how gruesomely realistic it's like. And the fact that it's in live television in that movie is all the more terrifying. But that's the moment that got me, and it's probably my favorite moment in the film. And then followed up with another scene that I'm just gonna call this a sequence now. But when one of the guys that he's influenced crashes into the police car that has him trapped, they bring him out. The Waynes are murdered at this point. Joker's laid up Christ-like onto the car, and he's finally finding people that he's inspired and are inspired by him, and he makes a smile from his own blood and turns around and sees all of them. That's honestly poetic. It's one of the most poetic things I ever seen in a comic book movie. The death of the Waynes means the birth of Batman and new life at the same time for the Joker. It's honestly fucking amazing, and one of the most poetic things I've seen all year. Then we got to probably what I think is probably my only complaint about this film that I really do still have is that it's an ending. It's the ending that goes on a little too long. Like the last 3 minutes of the film, they don't necessarily have to be there. I'm glad they are because it gives us a little bit more time with him. But in hindsight, probably should have shortened it a little bit more than it probably should have been in the film. But the last 3 minutes with him saying he's uncontrollably laughing, which is a good bookend to when he was laughing at the beginning of the film with the last or psychiatrist, and now this new one, and he's laughing. She's asking, "What's so funny?" And he's like, "I'm thinking of a joke." She's thinking, "Can you tell me?" And we cut to Bruce Wayne with his dead parents on the pavement, and he's like, "You won't get it." That's an amazing line to end the film on. I just wish it ended there if it was going to end it. And again, I'm glad it ended this way because we get more of Joaquin Phoenix. But apparently he murders her and he runs around Tom and Jerry style with the orderlies, and then the end. And my audience applauded. I think there was like a 2-minute standing ovation for this film. Not quite 8 minutes like the Venice Film Festival, but 2 minutes is still pretty damn awesome for this movie. This movie gave me everything I wanted and more, and it's probably my favorite movie of the year, and the best Joker movie we would have gotten if it was an origin story. And then we have the controversy, which is stupid. This movie, like saying this movie's gonna change the world forever. It's a dangerous movie. The world's gonna fucking explode. And it's like, I look at it and it's like, what are you talking about? You haven't seen the movie for one. Two, Joker's already an established character from past films. And three, the violence in the film is nothing compared to what we've seen in the past few years with horror movies and many other dramas. It's nothing. If anything, they should be talking about the class system that they're addressing in this movie, or the society wars with the rich and the poor. Why is no one talking about that instead of just the violence? It's stupid. It's honestly dumb. Why? And it's like, we've already gotten John Wick. All 3 John Wick movies have more blood, guts, gore, and kills than this film altogether. No one complains about them. And people saying it's a white male that's inspiring others to kill more people. That's dumb. It's honestly one of the stupidest controversies of the year. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's the stupidest controversy for a comic book movie, period. I hate it so much. I say go see the movie to make up your own mind, but honestly, if you're thinking that this film will change the world because it's too violent, I don't know what to say. Obviously, you can like it or don't like it if you want. I'm not changing your opinion on that. But if you're thinking this movie's going to change cinema because of how violent it is, it's not. It really isn't. Well, that's my spoiler review of Joker. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the movie as much as I did. I'll see you later, recruits. Take care.